Hello and welcome to the first episode of the DVD Bunker. My name's Brian. This is Matt, my co-host.
How's it going, Brian?
Hey, pretty good. So this show is going to be looking at my personal DVD collection. We're going to look at things that I don't really remember very much about, and then we're also going to take a look at some things I really like that it seems like nobody else remembers. And the first thing on the agenda today, our first episode, is the Tim Burton 1996 classic Mars Attacks.
Classic. Ooh, it is.
Can you see that? Yeah. Now, for real fast, picking this up, I have to say right off the bat, this is that old school.
The cardboard.
The cardboard DVD case.
Is it the double-sided where you get the widescreen on the...
Yeah, and you have to flip it over, widescreen it right, widescreen on one side. And I always had a hard time figuring out, is it the side that says widescreen on the top? That's how you play widescreen, or do you flip it?
Nobody ever knew. Nobody could ever figure it out.
You put it in, you watch it a little bit, and you're like, this is on... And you're like,
always what you don't want.
Oh, wait, it's my widescreen, but my TV is set to panoramic, so it just made it... whatever. So anyway, 1996, Tim Burton. You can't really talk about this movie without kind of getting into where Tim Burton was at in his career. So,
Absolutely.
A hot streak leading up to this, I would say. Started with Beetlejuice and then into the Batman movies, but he also had Edward Scissorhands in there.
Ed Wood,
Was right before this. Ed Wood was right before this.
And just to give you a little bit, Ed Wood, he chose this movie because he said this is like an homage. It's supposed to be an homage to the crappy 50s sci-fi.
All right, like a Plan 9.
Absolutely,
okay.
Exactly. That was like, he's like, wow, I love this script.
And that absolutely,
we're going to do it that way.
And that makes sense from what I remember of the movie now. That's what I was going to say next is like, this is definitely Burton I'm less familiar with. I remember when this came out, and I was, I think everybody was like high on Tim Burton there.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if I ever even saw it around the time it came out.
Yeah, I can't say either, man. I feel like I saw this movie, but I really don't remember much about it. I remember it was star-studded. Like, everybody was in it.
And then when I bought it, I feel like I bought it because I was like, it's Tim Burton, look at this cast, I'm going to get this. And I know I've watched it since then, but like I said, I just haven't gone back to get a strong opinion. And the way Tim Burton's progressed in his career makes me really want to go back and look at something that somebody would consider the first kind of glimpse of what he might kind of turn to.
And a couple things about this movie that are really interesting about that is, it was pitched in like 85, so it was around for a long time. The script was rewritten like 12 times. When Burton originally started it, he was going to do stop motion animation, and everything was going to be done in stop motion. He had his guy, but Warner Brothers just kept saying, that cost too much, we need to make this movie for this much, and he was like, it got up around $100 million to make it for, with stop motion. Like, no, it's $80 million movie. That's what you're going to make it for. So then Industrial Light and Magic comes in and saves the day with CGI. Yeah.
In 96, CGI was cheaper than stop motion.
Yeah, well,
it seems like that's where the money. It seemed like it would be the other way.
That's what I thought too, and maybe because Tim Burton was using his guy, so he cost more because
well, this is my buddy.
He doesn't come cheap.
This guy's like, did you see Beetlejuice? I mean, I did all that. So
for me,
sign me up.
Yeah, for me, I want to watch it and think about like what it may have looked like with
stop motion. I would love that
guy.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. This is kind of his turn, and also he using a lot more big stars in this one. Like this is a big, real crazy cast. Of people, and Jack Nicholson, maybe one of his last kind of gasp. Jack Nicholson kind of fell off in the late 90s, early 2000s. This is one of the last things. Like, he did really good stuff after this. He did As Good as It Gets. He won the Oscar for that, right? So, but like, this was when he was real big again. Like, he'd kind of come back off of Batman and really was real hot again.
And the Joker.
And he's a double role in this. He actually plays
two roles, and I don't remember any of that.
No, I know from reading the back in preparation for the show.
That bastard just wanted double the money.
See stars that shine across the galaxy. Jack Nicholson in a dual role.
Because they said, how can we make it so he makes more than everybody else? And
they actually just going to pay him double anyway. Let's get two performances out of him.
So that's how it worked out.
That's pretty reasonable.
We'll find out how that panned out for the movie.
The basic plot of the movie is just an invasion movie, right? I mean, men from Mars come in. I don't remember exactly how it plays out. I think there's some interaction before they start killing us, but probably not too much.
Not a lot. I feel like that was the thing I remember only is that I thought the aliens were cool looking, And I remember seeing them and being like, okay, let's have a conversation. And I think it pretty much
they
went
just instantly start murdering. I hope that's what happens. Actually, that sounds great.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the destruction and stuff that they had planned for in this movie, they had to take out because of Independence Day. So they were like, we're just going to look like we're ripping off Independence Day, so we have to pull it back.
Independence Day came out.
Yeah.
And
just a lot of stuff.
They were going to blow up some monuments.
They blew up everything. Yeah, they had it all in the script like years before. They're like, oh, yeah, we got the White House getting blown up. We got the Empire. It was like beat for beat.
They're sitting in that summer in the theater like, oh.
Yeah, so when you watch Empire Strikes, when you watch Independence Day.
Let's just watch Empire Strikes Back. Scrap this. We're going to watch Empire Strikes Back, everybody.
Welcome to watching Empire Strikes Back 100 times in a row.
That's right. We're going to do an episode a week about how great Empire Strikes Back is. So
new things we love.
And there's only about 10 shows on the internet already doing that.
Well, here's the twist: is we're going to each write our own erotic fan fiction about Empire Strikes Back and bring it to the table week after week and develop these stories.
Develop the characters.
In a sort of Twilight meets Star Wars nightmare.
I'd absolutely be into that.
Yeah.
I'd absolutely be into that.
Yeah. Well.
So, I guess this is the part where we're going to go and watch the movie.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
All right, bye. All right, so we're back from watching Mars Attacks. I guess first thing is just kind of a little bit more detailed plot analysis, I guess.
You're going to have to help me out with... I think that we meet a lot of people, and we learn their jobs.
Sure. A lot of characters. Big cast. Aliens. Very Independence Day. I think that was the theme of the night. Very Independence Day. This came out the winter after Independence Day, and you can definitely see the mirror image of a lot of Roland Emmerich's cast of characters. The scientists and all the, general. Is it just me, or are the people in this movie too stupid?
Yeah, no, it's not everyone though. I think this is a commentary on the government and the military specifically being inept.
Okay.
Because everybody that seems to do well in this movie has nothing to do with the government, has not been in science. In fact, in everyday life, the more useless you are, the better you fare.
Like say if you just get your picture taken at a casino because you're a washed up boxer,
you
could end up fair enough. That's true. So what were your, do you have any, what was favorite things from
My
this
favorite things,
rewatch?
I liked anything they did. I was like, oh, I liked the lady, the way she walked when they finally got in to kill the president. The Martian lady,
she's on the front of the box here, right, with the big cone head.
She murdered Martin Short, and that was all cool. And
that was actually a legitimately creepy moment when she comes into the president's bedroom and does her weird, creepy walk. Agreed.
So good.
Agreed.
Anything with the aliens, I thought was awesome. I thought the whole thing with the aliens, I loved it. I loved everything about it.
I love the, I think one of the best things about the movie is the look of it, the aesthetics. We talked about in the little intro about how it was clearly tributing 50s B movies, Ed Wood style, and you can see that. I think the CGI is the worst part of that.
Oh yeah,
though.
it's tough.
I like the design of the aliens is really cool, but the crappy CGI doesn't really give them the justice they deserve. You think how cool they would look if they were a weird looking puppet
Play-Doh
from
thing.
Stan Winston or something,
for sure.
right?
I think they're the best part. I think the effects around them are bad, but they look better, I think, than anything else. Like the dog, Sarah Jessica Parker's dog was kind of rough.
That's real bad.
It was fun though. I thought that's fun. Let's make her a dog.
I like that idea is cool, and I like I thought that it was okay that some of the practical effects looked crappy because that felt very 50s. But then it was when the CGI wasn't good that actually took away from it. If it had been crappy practical effects, it would have fit better into the movie.
You're right.
Well, we can talk too about how they actually kill the aliens in classic tribute to War of the Worlds, and obviously every alien movie does it. Signs and Independence Day. It's always something benign to us that ends up taking out the aliens. Yeah. This time it's yodeling, some kind of yodeling music,
like some sort of old country almost too.
Right.
When you hear, but which leads us to the moral of this whole movie is if there's ever a disaster, go pick up your grandma because that will
Yeah.
inevitably save everyone, which I love that.
It's some kind of weird, yeah.
Because he startles the aliens, and then that's what kicks out the thing, and then the music blows their heads up, and even then the boy doesn't know. His grandma has to explain it to him.
Yeah,
and
say, your grandma's gonna have some kind of weird knowledge. She's gonna have some kind of special like old remedy or something that your grandma's definitely a winner. You should go get her. Go save her.
And I don't know, maybe because I just missed it, but like, was there a moment where they talked about the music being like the solution? Because it seems like you have the grandma and the boy discover, they have a radio, then like the next 4 scenes, just everyone has the radio music going.
That's a good question. I don't remember a scene where they like explained.
Yeah, and I thought maybe
everyone.
I missed it. I was hoping I was like, yeah, it's in there. They had a conversation, like they all met up. The kids had it, like 4 groups.
Right. All
the helicopter. There's no way.
The kids got like a shopping cart full of boomboxes, and at first, I'm not gonna lie, I felt bad because I thought they were looting. I thought they were looting, and I was like, that's not cool. That's uncomfortable. But then I was like, oh, they're playing the boomboxes are playing the music.
Hurst you should have seen him. He got all flustered. He's like, looters. I'm like, come on, man. Oh, he's like, oh, they're helping.
That's good. That's good. I didn't want them portrayed in a negative light. Those young boys, they were the heroes of the story. Turned out they were the heroes of the story.
Yeah, the kids from the outskirts of Vegas.
Right, where did they live? They were on a trip to Washington, D.C.
Is that what it was? Were they the D.C. kids?
They were in D.C., but I don't remember where they lived. They were where Pam Grier lived.
Oh, that's right. They were calling back and forth. That was how you connected the two.
Near DC,
was Grier and Jim Brown again.
I don't know how Jim Brown got from Vegas to D.C. They never explained that either. They left him laying on the ground, and then he's just back. It's like, nope.
Was that the end? Oh, yeah. He just was dead? Oh, that's great. Like, you assume he beat up all 30 of those aliens in a fist fight.
With his bare hands.
Oh, you think it was like a trick? Like, do you think he just laid down there, and then once they started to walk away, and then he pounced up?
Yeah, I think he just laid there and played dead, and they walked away, and then he just snuck off.
But here's a testament to why he's so great and why there needs to be more told about him is he walks up, he's got the jump on maybe 15 to 20 aliens. He's got one of their rifles in his hand, which has been doing pretty good for him.
Yeah, it's very effective.
He decides instead of doing anything with any of that or get the jump on him, he's going to throw his rifle out, call him out, take what little body armor he has off, and challenge him in a fist fight.
I noticed that he clearly was self-conscious about his old man bod, though, because he stripped off his armor except a breastplate that was all muscly.
Yeah, what was that? Is that part of his everyday Pharaoh uniform?
I like to think that isn't part of the uniform. He brings it from home and puts the uniform on over it.
Oh, that's why he's good at his job, man, because he gives a little bit extra.
Commitment to the job.
Gives a little bit extra.
Well, what I like, too, is, like, the whole movie is spent, we overly trust the aliens. Again, the people in this movie too dumb. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Tim Burton wrote them a little too dumb. It's funny, but it's you lose it because you can't get behind them in any way because they always keep
don't deserve to live.
Right, you're just like, yes, kill them, replace them.
Yeah, and most of all is Jack Nicholson as president because he lives through the whole thing. Almost one of the last characters to die, and he's the one that won't let anybody do it. He won't let the nukes go. He won't let them fight.
And then he makes the same mistake again, even after he tries to save the French Prime Minister. He again gives the outstretched hand, and again, that's another thing. I was like, it got a little repetitive to the point where you're like, about 4 or 5 times the humans trust them. Oh yeah, and they murder everybody.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
It's funny. It's hilarious the first 2 times for sure.
The third time you're like, really?
They either needed to do it 3 more times and just go nuts with it, or scale it back a little.
So here, I'll give you some facts here. How about this? All right, 40 minutes into the 38 minutes is when we see the aliens for the first time, like when they land. Right. 40 in that field in the desert. 40 minutes is when they first attack the people, and I'm like, okay, here it goes, because I didn't remember any of the back and forth.
Right.
So then it's 52 minutes. I wrote down there's still hope because they've attacked us a second time. That's the Congress attack, and we still are trying to make peace with them. It's literally an hour and 17 minutes before the whole full out now we're at war.
A 90-minute movie too. So basically the last 10 minutes.
The United States government balks this whole invasion for the 85% of what's going on.
Yeah, it's that part. That's
great. That's why I love it. It's a commentary on how they're really just working for themselves, Brian. They don't care about any of us, and we're gonna have to save ourselves.
Yeah,
and that means going to your grandma's house and picking her up.
Don't forget to get grandma. Glenn Close actually has two great moments in this movie back to back. She plays Jack Nicholson's wife, the First Lady. First, she takes the skull of their dead dog and throws it at an alien, which was a great little thing where you're just like, because I'm always horrified when an animal gets killed in a movie. Like, more so, you're always like, people, that happens all the time. Then an animal, you're like, oh, the innocent dog got lasers out. I've seen like 50 people get disintegrated in this movie, turned into colored skeletons.
That was awesome.
I like the way they turn into the same colors, the laser they're shot with.
Yellow or red.
That's funny.
Great.
But yeah, the dog, and then when Glenn Close falls off the bed, she like grabs the dog's skull and whips it at one of the aliens.
I thought it was like a mug or something. I didn't even realize that was a skull.
Of her dead dog.
I already thought that was great too, except for the part that like really how that lady get in there, and then the guys came in like no one even brings that up either. No one even says. But anyway, Glenn Close.
Oh well, and then the other thing is her death, which is. Everybody else kind of has a boring disintegration death, but she gets a chandelier dropped on her, which is just a classic moment.
It's like a dummy. It's like a dummy underneath the chandelier.
Exactly.
It just crumbles
chandelier
perfectly,
that crushes
though.
a dummy, and it's really good. It looks like an effect from Plan 9, but in a great way.
Yeah, it works really well because you just see it get crushed. You know, it's a dummy. We're like, that's about as good as it could have gone for a dummy. Like,
pretty solid.
They did a few times to get it just right.
Were there other things we didn't like?
I thought Martin Short was just like a weird creep in this movie.
Yeah, he's also just a weird creep in his career.
I didn't know what his job was until he said press secretary.
Him, but like, he's just always playing that same character, kind of.
But he crosses lines in this because he hangs out with the president, I guess, and he advises the president as the press secretary. I don't know if that's part. Maybe that is part of your job. But anyway, he meets this lady that he picks up. Like I'm assuming, thinking she's a prostitute. She says no words to him ever.
He never talks.
She doesn't say anything, and he brings her into the inside of the whole White House in a
not just into the White House, into President Kennedy's special bang room.
Yeah, and he's gonna try to have
a secret bang room with a Batman-style statue and a red button and everything.
If that was real life, and you met someone on the side of the road and they didn't talk, they didn't say anything, help this woman.
Not to mention,
she's in trouble.
Can we talk about the fact that she doesn't look like a normal human woman?
Oh no, she doesn't. She doesn't
Weird,
look.
Pseudo 50s, like a drawing of a woman from the 50s, not what real people looked like, and a weird big cone head.
Yeah,
that kind
was
of
hiding the head of the alien.
That speaks to the weird, ambiguous year. We talked about what year is this movie? They never say. It's kind of like
like the 60s.
It's like the
50s,
80s. But if all the styles from the late 50s just progressed into the 80s.
You're right.
Weird, like the technology. Like I said, it's stylized, which is appropriate. You know, like all the stuff. I like all the cool stuff with the inside of the alien ships and all that stuff, and the way the ships look when they spin, when they're sitting there, and there's some cool models.
Yeah,
when
the
they
robot,
attack.
Though. How about that robot?
That big robot, like kind of an Iron Giant style robot.
That was wasted too. That robot, you saw it twice. Once chasing a car, once when it came out. It was cool when it picked up the houses.
But then it just the two motorhomes and smashed them together.
But then it just ran into some wires. Like, who's this driver? These guys, I really think this was like the first wave of just jokers, and they almost beat us. Like this was like these idiots because they're messing around.
These
most
are guys
of the
that
time.
actually got kicked off of Mars for being too stupid, and they still almost overtook us.
Like they're definitely drinking martinis. They're celebrating. They're playing tricks on people. Oh, they're loving. These guys are.
They were having a good time. How does it compare to our memories?
So much better.
It's better
I didn't
than
remember
you
because I didn't remember it all, and I expected it to be horrible. But I think if you go into it and you know what it's like trying to do, it helps a lot because you're like some moments are like this is ridiculous. But if you think about it, like yeah, that's cool. Like there's even little touches like when they first attack it's like B-roll in the background of American shooters, and they're not even aiming anything. It's just like a video of B-roll guys just shooting off in a direction. I'm like, that's so great. I loved it.
And I like the self-aware moments, like with the Godzilla thing. Where for a minute, I literally thought Godzilla was in this movie. And then it pulls back, and you realize that the aliens, while they're attacking us, by the way, while they're like whooping our ass all up and down the earth, are sitting watching old Godzilla movies on their screen, and then they like flip the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, they leave it on Dukes. That's way better. Oh, it's so great.
They're like the General Lee, you know?
Who doesn't, man? Who doesn't?
Let's see. Yeah, I think it was, like I said, and I think when you compare it to what Tim Burton has gone on to do, I think it's a better version of some things, because I think like some of his like some of his movies have kind of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I feel like tried to be a satire.
Yeah.
In its own way of Willy Wonka, but we didn't want that. People didn't want that satire, but this is pretty good satire. Although, like I said, I think he pushes it a little too far, makes the humans a little bit too dumb, gets a little too repetitive with the like, we get it, we always give them another chance.
It's one too many times. It's just one too many times.
Unrealistic because we all know what humans are really like. We're shocked when we give them a first chance. I remember thinking at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, well, good for this movie for portraying humans as people that would give these aliens a chance rather than just mow them down immediately.
Lots of chances. Yeah, that's true.
Then it became too many chances.
Well, maybe that's why they decided to set it in this like ambiguous time period. You know what I mean? So you can't really say. You can say like, well, this is kind of out there, but
yeah, because if this was really like 1988, we'd have just blown them up immediately.
Yeah, and
right?
somebody would have like figured it out before us. Yeah. You know, because like maybe we didn't attack, but somebody out there would have like done something. You know what I mean? Like the Soviets aren't having that shit, man.
Right? They're like, you go ahead and play nice. I'm just gonna shoot a couple missiles here.
Yeah, exactly.
But then they do that. They do have that great moment where we finally try our atomic bomb on them, and they use their fancy technology to suck it into a balloon. And then now, are we supposed to think are they huffing it like helium, or are they smoking it?
No, I think he exhales. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like this is also just another comment on American government to say this is ridiculous. Look, your nuclear weapons are allowed, but we can't have recreational drugs. Look what's happening to us.
That's good. I like that.
You know what I mean?
I didn't even draw that comparison.
This is what I'm saying. This is why this movie is brilliant, man. You got to look at what Tim Burton. Because the only problem with this movie is execution, and I think you got to look at what Tim Burton really wanted to do here, and you can really think like, man, this is something special.
Right, I gotcha. I like that little commentary.
Because you're saved in this movie by children, a bartender, and a grandma. That's who saves you in this movie.
Tom Jones.
And a singer.
Tom Jones.
Hollywood, of course.
of course, Hollywood.
But if you need answers, look to Hollywood. Forget your government. I like it.
But we talked about the destruction. They get to destroy a lot more international landmarks in this one. That same summer, Independence Day took a lot of the good stuff in America. So we had to go. Although I do love the moment where they knock down the Washington Monument and then catch it because they're trying to knock it over onto the kids. That's just really funny. That somebody just thought that up. Whatever, that was like one of the first things somebody came up with when this movie was thought about, and it stayed in the whole time. That's a joke that you build a whole movie around.
Yeah, that's so great. It's just one of those great. Those are like some of the best moments too. Are the ones where the aliens are just having so much fun murdering everybody. Like they are having the best time.
Yeah,
murdering everyone. It's just like this is kind of nice, Like these guys are idiots the whole time. Right. Let's watch them die.
Yeah,
in fun ways.
Yeah, they do the equivalent of some high-fiving. I mean,
they're mixing drinks. They mix drinks. They play tricks.
They look at Playboys.
Yeah, they're just hanging out. They're mostly shirtless in their underwear.
Right, always in their little red undies, except like the higher ups wear robes, and then all the like underlings wear underwear on the ship, and then they wear their little space
suits. That's the thing. I bet those spacesuits aren't constrictive. They probably are just like, well, it's just a bunch of guys on a ship. Let's just go. They seem to be mostly asexual. There doesn't seem to be any like guys and girls amongst them. It's just like one.
You're right. There's one ambiguous.
Well, yeah, it's just like one
even
thing.
The girl here on the front is revealed to just be another one of them. She pulls her hair off. And
which is maybe another thing. It's like, hey, look, we're being beat by they don't identify that way, and they rose up against us as well. And it's like. There's so much social commentary in this movie.
There's a lot going on in this one, for sure.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You got to dig. You got to peel the onion on these guys sometimes, Brian.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm here.
That's right. That's why I brought you on. People don't know.
Peel back layer after smelly layer.
Let's talk about how this movie's got a great cast and how are they almost all mostly wasted.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that you're excited to see, and they do nothing.
You just got like 5 or 10 minutes of screen time, and always in a group, never even like individual. They tell you, like you said, what they do, like what their job is in this world, and then there's not much else to their characters.
Yeah, you just no.
And they just keep killing off the good actors until you're left with the leads of your movie are Jim Brown and Tom Jones.
Yeah, how did that happen? Like, these guys were there for 2 days each.
Yeah.
They couldn't all be there at the same time, so they're just like, shoot them, get them out of here. Michael J. Fox, you die in, like, the first scene.
And every time I see Michael J. Fox, I'm like, oh, great. more Michael J. Fox. Anything I can go back and watch. Oh, never mind. He was only in it for like 7 minutes.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that's crazy about this movie, though, and this is why I think it's amazing, is Michael J. Fox actually doesn't die until the 1 hour or the 48-minute mark. So he's in the movie for a long time. And
but there's so many characters in the movie that he only gets like 10 minutes of screen time.
You're
an hour in.
You're absolutely right.
But everybody's had like 3 minutes, and you got Jack Black and his family, and Lucas Haas, and Christina Applegate. So you got them. You got to introduce all those characters. None of them are together. No, and then you got Jim Brown, and there's so many stories. Like, remember when Jack Nicholson's other character, which we'll get to, but Jack Nicholson plays two characters. His casino character, his casino owner, propositions Jim Brown to beat somebody up like Loan Shark for him or something.
Yeah,
and Jim Brown turns. It's like a character moment for Jim Brown, but it's like there's no time or place for that. Like it's too late. I don't care. Aliens are already hovering around the world. Nobody cares.
I like to think that Cowboy Jack and Jim Brown's character have a history, and they're like old friends.
Well, and you get the impression he's done it before, the like loan sharking thing, because he says, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to get back with Pam Grier or whatever, and which who wouldn't want to get with Pam Grier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was looking good.
This is Jackie Brown era, Pam Grier, so very good. Go ahead and talk about
I just love Cowboy Jack because Cowboy Jack, he's so positive about the impending doom. That he's like, hey, if these guys are coming to invade, they're going to need a place to live. They're going to stay in our hotel. Then it's literally, as the ground shakes around him, he's like, hey, these guys are in all-out war. They're going to want to gamble. Let's get these doors open. And that's why I love that guy so much. And he does have a moment with Jim Brown, and I think that they're old friends. I think of it like a Riggs and Murtaugh type relationship that they have. That there's a whole story.
I would maybe watch that spinoff, if not for one thing, and this would be one of my dislikes is athlete acting. God, athlete acting is the worst. There's no Jim Brown is just delivering. He's doing his best, God help him, but there's a reason that he was a professional football player and not. It's just constant the slow, deliberate. No, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not living that life. I'm trying to get my wife back. It's not his fault. It's just
He was a little bit better than that. He was a little bit better.
He didn't have the charisma. Like, at the end of the movie, I was like, yeah, I would watch more of Tom Jones in this world, but I was ready to leave Jim Brown behind and be like, fine, you found Pam Grier great.
That's a bummer that he got in there so late because I really got excited. And he was awesome.
He sang. He had an eagle land on his arm at the. That was great.
He survived. He actually leads the survivor troop into the hills to safety.
Absolutely.
He's so good.
Well, I want to say about Cowboy Jack, I did feel a little bit, and I feel like I told you this at the time, I felt like a little bit like he was doing Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of talking through his teeth.
He's doing something.
It's fine. He was still a great character, and he was good as the president, too. The duality, he was good in both roles. This is definitely prime Nicholson.
Oh, yeah, he's good. He's probably in it the most, I'd say. Out of everybody, he's got the most scenes. He plays two characters, and I like him.
But actually, Cowboy Jack thinking back on it, it seems like he has about as much screen time as everybody else, but then the president gets more screen time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite character, Cowboy Jack. What about you, Brian? Who you love in this movie?
Somebody who stood out to me, and we've talked about her. We kind of hinted at her throughout what we were talking about here was the grandma. That's Sylvia Sidney, and you also might know her as Juno from Beetlejuice. She was the caseworker Juno, but she has a great role as somewhat demented, right? She seems like she's that brilliant character that you see, the old person character who seems like they have no idea what's going on, yet somehow always has the right answer. And always does the smart thing, the right thing. Accidentally, she's Mr. Magoo, right?
Yeah.
She's Mr. Magoo.
Her moments of lucidity are perfect
exactly.
at every perfect time. Who wouldn't say that, Grandma? This isn't the first time she's done that for this young boy. That's why he's going back for it.
Right. His family is a bunch of, gun nut ass faces, and they're all ready to just, pull a gun on the aliens that you've seen murder everyone with a laser, because it's been working out so well. But, yeah, I'm sure you and your shotgun in your trailer will be the one person to overtake them. You'll turn the tide,
yeah,
clearly.
This is where it all starts.
The smart
wearing
guy.
the picture of Jack Black.
And, we didn't talk about Jack Black Black's Forrest Gump-esque performance either.
He becomes a national. Forrest Gump did way better than Jack Black.
But he's clearly doing this is 2 years after Forrest Gump, so probably while they're in production on this movie, Forrest Gump is winning the Oscar. And even at the time, people are like, yeah, it's a nice little nostalgia trip, but are we really giving it to the bench guy? 1994, by the way, the year that Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction came out. Oh, man. Just in case you were wondering what should have won the Oscars that year.
I never knew that, man.
Right. So anyway, is Jack Black just flat out making fun of that in this?
Yeah, it could be.
It could be, right?
But then if that's it, then that's great. I never really thought of it like him making fun of what would really happen.
Right.
And I like that they follow through with the national hero where people still love him.
Exactly. He clearly goes out in a cowardly manner and is murdered. But is still revered.
And on the dawn of destruction, where with evil looming, will stop and have his services and hundreds of people attend his services.
More people than it seemed like lived in the town he was from. At his funeral.
They bust him in, man.
Well, and remember the same thing. Crowds love to people love to attend crowds and attend functions in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Because even after the thing in the desert where they murder everybody, the aliens come to Congress, there's a crowd there waiting too to see what happens.
I can't believe these people.
Yeah,
that actually doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you. If that situation happened, I feel like that's exactly how it would play out. The crowd was a little smaller, I think, but I was like,
but there would still be some people out there.
It's like the '60s, I guess. I want to say '96, but we don't know.
It came out in '96, but yeah, it's a weirdo parallel timeline.
Jack Black and his surrender.
Right.
But he could have had all those guys too, by the way. He had to jump on all three of those aliens, and he just blew it with his gun.
Out. But Lucas Haas had the right idea. He knows to bail on his crazy family and go get his grandma, who matters. And that was, Sylvia Sidney. So she was like and that pays off. She's going to get her is what gives them the last thing. That's how they kill all the aliens. Yeah. They get the special yodeling music. So.
He's sort of like the Biggs of this movie. Like, he's Luke Skywalker's buddy who goes off but just dies immediately in the war.
All right, so the last part of the show I think we're going to do is the rating system.
Yep.
So I've decided, since what I wanted to do was go through and see if I've made good choices with my money over the years, buying all this physical media that is quickly going out of date. So the ratings are a good buy, as in something that was a smart purchase that I feel like was money well spent, or good buy, as in get this piece of crap out of my collection. It has no place in here. And I think we can already agree that Mars Attacks was a good buy.
Oh, yeah.
Smart money.
And I'm going to go by, we talked about this earlier based on the quality of this DVD. I'm guessing this was no more than $5. I mean, I guess it depends on the date you got it, but really right now, a DVD of this quality.
I'm telling you that, knowing myself, I probably paid less than $10 for it.
See,
maybe like $7.
Oh yeah. And if you wanted to get the movie now, $1.99, $2, you can find
to rent it online digitally. To buy a DVD, you probably
don't make these same mistakes.
Maybe,
buy these digitally.
But what if you're at Walmart? And you see it in the $7 Blu-ray. Would you buy it on Blu-ray?
It's like
Blu-ray would only make the CGI look worse. I guess to be honest with you.
What if you talked about the feature, maybe some special features on there I could get into, like
a retrospective.
They had test films for the stop motion stuff that they did.
Watch that.
So I would like to see that.
Or a retrospective of people who worked on it talking about it, and now 20
it.
Years later, do you remember anything? Yeah. Do you have anything? Rip it on it too. I wish more commentaries would get. Everybody in Hollywood is so nice on the commentaries. I'm sure behind the scenes they rip each other up, but I've listened to a lot of behind the scenes commentaries, a lot of boring back padding and all this, and almost no one is willing to tell a story where someone was an asshole.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sometimes though, it can turn into a real Maximum Overdrive, and the director himself will say, "I'm actually a writer. I was on a lot of cocaine when I wrote this movie."
Flat out pan his own movie.
Yeah.
Tell you he doesn't have any recollection.
Yeah, because he was. That would be. I don't know if that situation's ever happened, or even if there's a movie that you may have that would
that would help us.
That could enlighten that, but
I wonder. All right, so thanks for joining us here in the DVD bunker, our very first episode in the can.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
That was awesome. You can find me on Twitter at HurstKillies.
I'm at the Drunksman. That's MEN.
Drunksmen, multiple
men, because I'm not just one Drunksman. I'm a member of a larger organization of people that are
like it's like the Freemasons.
Yeah, just people that share a similar mindset about
sure, absolutely. And
alcoholism. So
and that's it was taken.
You could fall into a drunk. You're a drunksman. It's not. I don't want to get onto it, but you are. I'll let you know. You're a drunksman.
Sweet.
So
I like it. You can find more great content like this show, Odd Shape Panel, and the Fan Friction Championship. Which by the time you're watching this, I'll probably already have lost. I shouldn't be referencing it. That's going to totally date this video. It's like, he didn't even defend that thing one time.
Will they make this in May? Oh, my God. There must have been some tension behind the scenes there. It took forever for this to get released.
Well, maybe we'll cut the part where I talk about being the champion. The title's up there. I think that's enough, right?
We're not going to cut it.
We're not cutting anything.
But I love Odd Shape Panel, and I love Fan Friction, man. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a great time.
You guys are on it. Just thanks for that. That's fun. So.
Yeah, watch this show. Watch those shows. Talk to us on Twitter. Tell us what you want to see. There's plenty of movies here to watch, so we can't wait to do more.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.